What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk to you guys about selling out. So yeah, I guess there's still hope. So actually going into the topic of this video, I actually learned how to invest this summer. It was one of those times like 2 weeks before KPMG started. I was basically like an 18-year-old with nothing to do with my life. So, you know, just like any other 18-year-old with 2 weeks of free time, I thought to myself, I'm gonna learn how to invest in stocks. Now, in my opinion, I think everyone in the world has at least some kind of interest in the financial markets and in investing. No matter how big or low your interest is, it could really vary, you know. But I feel like most people who are new to investing can really agree that there's really no clear way of how to start. You know, for example, when I first started trying to learn how to invest for those 2 weeks, the first thing I thought of was, I'm gonna look at Warren Buffett's portfolio. Yeah, so for those of you guys who are living under a rock, Warren Buffett is just some guy with cash on the side. So this was the first thing I did, basically, when I started to learn how to invest. I looked at Warren Buffett's portfolio. He likes Apple smartphones, I guess. He likes banks that go through a lot of scandals. Oh, and he's a big Coca-Cola fan. Yeah, Warren Buffett, if you're watching this video right now, make sure to check out College Stereotypes because your boy's shotgunning a Coke in that video. I'd really appreciate if you gave me a thumbs up, you know, subscribe. Every subscriber counts, even if you're a billionaire. Now, copying Warren Buffett's portfolio was a start for me, and it can be a start for you. But the thing is that, you know, this dude's a billionaire. The problem is that I don't have $86 billion lying around on the side. I have only $85 billion. But for real though, I'm sure that most of you guys watching this video are not billionaires. Looking at Warren Buffett's portfolio might not be the best strategy because, you know, 1% gain for Warren Buffett is probably at least $10 million. But a 1% gain for someone like me is probably gonna get me a burrito at Chipotle. So at that point, I was like, what do I do now? So one thing that really made Warren Buffett amazing as an investor back in the day was that he knew every single company that existed out there. So if you were just to walk into his office today and you're like, yo, check out this dope stock, you know, he probably heard of it before you did. So the thing I started doing under that mindset was that I just started reading about a bunch of different companies that existed out there, whether I knew about their existence or not. How does one actually figure out what companies exist out there and what companies you can invest in? So that day, it was like June 3rd, I think, or something. I literally just searched up a list of public companies. Yeah, that's it. This website is called nasdaq.com. You have a list of companies that you could read about. If you're a tech guy, maybe you could look into technology stocks, you know. You're probably gonna find Google, Facebook, Amazon, those kind of companies out there. You're gonna see a lot of companies that you've never heard of before. And that's the next part I wanna go over, the kinds of tools you can use to investigate these companies and research about these companies. Next step I would go into is going to this website called stockrow.com. It's probably the best website ever invented by mankind when it comes to investing because this website just has everything you need when it comes to just quickly looking up the statistics of a company. If that sounded a little bit too much to you, let me explain. So I'm gonna look at Facebook, and as you can see, we already have the stock price of maybe even the last 5 years, the last day, last 3 months, last month. StockRow contains very basic statistics on every single company out there. So for example, we can see that Facebook has been growing revenue since 2009. They have a positive net income now, which is congrats for them. You're running your business well, Mark. You can also see the market capitalization, which is basically the stock price of a company times the number of shares that exist out there. Market capitalization is kind of a good way to gauge of how much a company is worth. So in this case, Facebook's kind of worth like $512 billion, but you know, it's kind of nothing if you look at Apple, because Apple out here is kind of like worth $1 trillion already. So yeah, to put that in perspective, the US GDP is $19.39 trillion. Apple is worth $1 trillion. It's fine because I earn more than that. Yeah, StockRow is one of those websites that really had financial information given to you very easily when it comes to net income, revenue, and market capitalization. So that's why I really recommend stockrow.com. Totally awesome website. But if I want to figure out all of Facebook's specific financial information, I can go to this website called sec.gov and use this tool called Uncle Edgar right here. And basically all you have to do is type in this ticker symbol. I'm going to go to facebook.com, and then you could look at one of their quarterly, or yearly reports. So I'm going to look at one of Facebook's most recent yearly reports. So their quarterly reports are actually marked 10-Q. Their yearly reports are marked 10-K. So if you want to look into the reports, I recommend going into interactive data right here. And then afterwards, after my Wi-Fi is fast enough, you press their financial statements, and you can look into their consolidated balance sheets. As you can see, we got the balance sheets with the assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. We got the income statements right here. We can really see their revenues increasing, their income, where their expenses are coming in. If any of those words don't mean anything to you, one class I really recommend you to take is financial accounting. If you're in college and you want to get an extra class in, you want to get used to using that vocabulary and practice using those terms, I definitely recommend it because it'll get your confidence up and it'll also make looking at a balance sheet like this over here a lot less intimidating. The last thing I want to tell you guys about is an app that you could download on your phone. It's called the CNBC app, and basically you could download it from the App Store or Google Store, whatever you use, Chinese phone store. To download the app, you can open CNBC, and what this has is that it has news on whatever's going on in the markets at the time. You could tell like how well the market is doing based on the news headlines on CNBC. Like if the whole market's down, you could probably see news about that on your homepage immediately. I guess oil prices are going down, so keep that in mind. Also this tool called the watchlist, and this is one of my favorite tools because basically what you can do is that you could basically search up the stock symbol of any company and then you can add it to your watch list. I actually have a list of stocks that I recommend putting on my watch list. It includes your classic, they have this thing called FANG, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google. Definitely keep track of those. I also put in Tesla because even though Elon's not the chairman of Tesla anymore, I feel like his tweets are still going to impact, Tesla some way or another. If I were to give a good tip on life, whatever Elon tweets about Tesla, try not to believe it. You want to basically, in the beginning, you want to have at least some kind of list of basic companies that you could track that can really give you an indication of how the market is doing that day. So for example, I have this tab here called economy basically. At the time I'm recording this, you could probably see that most things are red today. So yeah, those are the tools that I use when I tried researching about various different companies out there in the world. Personally, I actually researched about 500 different companies, and it wasn't the latest time of my life. Ultimately, the idea of researching companies, that's something you really have to do. You really have to look into maybe at least 100 or 200 different companies. And let me tell you why. So let's say I'm going to like an ice cream store, Ben & Jerry's. And there's a lot of flavors that exist out in this world. Personally, I'm a big basic chocolate fan. Alright, but the thing is that there might be other flavors out there that are better in this world. I wouldn't know that if I haven't tried out other flavors before. Now personally, I've only tried out vanilla and strawberry, and chocolate was my favorite. So I know I can't go wrong with chocolate. If I really want to become a master of ice cream and become good at figuring out what ice cream flavors are good and which ones are bad, I'm pretty sure in order to become good at that, I gotta try every single flavor of ice cream out in Ben & Jerry's. The same goes with finance. You can't be good at finance and only know about 10 companies that exist out there in the world. My belief is that you have to know at least about 100 to 200 different companies that exist out there in the world, so that you could really understand what's a good company and what's bad company. Just like ice cream. What is good ice cream, what's bad ice cream? Honestly still, chocolate is the best flavor still. But in all seriousness, in my opinion, investing is a skill that we should all really have in general. We all want to have money when we retire, You could trust financial advisors, but they only can do so much. Apparently 96% of wealth managers actually do worse than the market in general, and only 4% actually beat the market, which is actually a surprising statistic. At the end of the day, I want to make sure that you guys have at least the chance to learn how to invest, to really take control of your life. And you'll fail in the beginning, you'll fail. You might research a company, you might like a company, you might add it to your watch list, and it might start tanking. You might realize, wow, am I just bad at picking stocks? But, researching companies, learning to understand the market, that comes with time, it comes with skill. Just like anything else in life, you really have to practice understanding the market and getting used to tracking the market as your life goes on. But it's just unfortunate because even for high-paying jobs like doctors, my dad's a doctor, and at times he would see situations where doctors would come out of retirement because they just don't have enough money saved, because they just never knew how to invest in the first place. You can have a high-paying job, but if you don't know how to invest that money, you might not have as much money in the future to save on the side, and your retirement may not look as good anymore. And the thing is that the idea of finance being like helpful to people, I know I'm just going on a rant right now, but finance is usually viewed as a kind of industry that's more profit thinking and not really thinking about other people. And I've always been interested in finance, but the thing is that sometimes it's hard because people working in finance, think about profits and themselves first before other people. That idea, that connotation can make me uncomfortable at times. Even if I can empower one person to learn how to invest, that would make my day. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and got something out of this video. Yeah, this topic is definitely not along those lines of like comedy and stuff, but it's just something I really need to get out there. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. We out.